If this doesn't make you believe that the only reason there are performance issues with either Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5 games at launch is because of dev optimization, I don't think anything will. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Thank you for stopping by. If you're new here and you enjoy what you see throughout this video, hey, maybe consider subscribing to help this channel grow. But for now, let's jump into this. So I believe it was last week, but Digital Foundry did a video comparing Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. And what they found was that there were performance issues on the Xbox Series X. At times, it would drop to about 45 to 50 frames per second, whereas with the PlayStation 5, it stayed at 60 frames per second. This was pretty much just a big thing for fanboys who went into the comments and started fighting over which console is better, which one's more powerful, saying that Xbox was lying with its power and everything. But logically, that just really made no sense. And it was pretty obvious that the reason there were issues with the Xbox Series X version was because of dev optimization, and that patches would be coming out down the line in order to fix this. The big thing right now is that Microsoft sent out their dev kits and their GDKs to developers way later than the PlayStation 5, it only being certified in June 2020, so they've had a lot less time to be able to get used to them. So Ubisoft put out a patch yesterday to try to fix some of these issues with the Xbox Series X, and it seems like they have fixed a lot of them, although there are still some screen tearing issues. But what's really weird is now it looks like the PlayStation 5 version is having more performance issues. But what this patch actually did really well was it created a 1080p 60 FPS mode for the Xbox Series S, so it seems like the Xbox Series S got a big advantage now from this patch. This year saying Ubisoft released a big patch for Assassin's Creed Valhalla just yesterday. This is the game's first post-launch update, and the publisher crammed in a lot of bug fixes as well as key performance improvements. Patch 1.0.4 biggest feature is the addition of options of either performance or visual fidelity modes across the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, and even the Series S. Judging by the reports of Reset Era and elsewhere, Series S benefit the most from this patch, as both of its modes run at a stable frame rate. Now here's where it gets interesting. Apparently on the PlayStation 5 now, the least performance problems pre-patch before the patch 1.0.4 seems to now suffer the most, so it really doesn't make too much sense. So the frame rate performance mode drops to the low 40s periodically, and it's not clear if this is caused by a bug or simply the game unable to handle effects in the scene. Now, if you remember with that Digital Foundry video between the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X was dropping to the 40s, and they weren't sure if it was a bug or if it was the console not be capable, but obviously it was because there's something going on with the game with a bug. Both of these consoles are more than capable than running this game at 60 FPS. Now, the update was also supposed to remove screen tearing from the Xbox Series X, which has been one of the biggest problems for a lot of people. Me personally, there has been screen tearing. Maybe I just don't notice it as much, but it didn't really bother me as much as some people on Twitter and on the internet are complaining about it. I mean, obviously I don't want it there, but I also played yesterday after the patch and I didn't notice the screen tearing nearly as much. So I think they've taken away some of it, but obviously there's still some more work to be done. And this year, even saying, even post-patch, players are still reporting that tearing is in fact still present. And for some screen tearing, the Xbox Series X has been the same, but others say it's much less common after the patch. So I don't know if that's just people who don't notice as much as others, or if the patch has different effect depending on the screen you're playing it on, stuff like that. So I'm not really sure, but I did not notice it very much yesterday when playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But this is extremely interesting, and it just really goes back to what I've been saying, what a lot of people have been saying, is that developers just need more time with these consoles. They just need more time to be able to use these GDKs to develop with them. And because of the fact here that the PS5 now is having performance issues going into the low 40s, then it really makes sense that this is a development optimization problem and not a console capability problem. And we're going to see all of this stuff worked out going into the future as developers have more time with those GDKs, as they have more resources, and as they're really solely focusing on the next generation consoles. These are next gen games, but they're also cross-generational games. So they're having to make many versions of these games. I don't personally think that is that massive of an issue because the architecture between the two consoles aren't crazy different. It's not like the architecture from the PS2 to the PS3, where the PS3 was like a brand new architecture, not based off anything off of the PS2. It seems like developing for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X is pretty similar to developing for the PC. So I don't see that there'll be that many issues with making multiple versions of it. It's just the time and resources that developers need is going to be the determining factor to how well games run. It's not whether these consoles are capable or not. But hey, if you're an Xbox Series S owner, this update's awesome. You're getting a full 60 FPS mode now in 1080p, but at least it is running at the 60 FPS solid. It's not dropping frames. And if you're playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, 60 FPS is by far the way to play, and it's cool that they're adding in those modes. I think that's going to be the key going forward with the next generation, is getting those 60 FPS modes in there. And even if you're on the Xbox Series S, getting it at 1080p at 60 FPS is better, in my opinion, than playing at 1440p at 30 FPS. Anyways, guys, I just want to talk about this. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Do you still think that it is the hardware capabilities holding back these games, or do you think it is all up to the developers to have the time and the resources to optimize properly for the next generation consoles? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you dislike it, hit that thumbs down button. If you're new here and you enjoyed what you see throughout this video, hey, maybe consider subscribing to help this channel grow. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your support, and I will catch you in the next video.